Okay, so you watched my last video about why teenagers are so moody. You now understand that your teen's brain is basically under construction. Their hormones are throwing a party, and their emotions are cranked up to 11. But here's what you're probably thinking. Great. So now I know why my teenager slams doors and rolls their eyes at everything I say. But how do I actually talk to them without it turning into World War III? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the practical stuff. I'm going to give you the exact strategies that actually work with teenage brains, not the outdated advice your parents used on you. Before we talk about what to do, let's talk about the 3 mistakes that almost every parent makes and why they backfire spectacularly with teenage brains. Mistake 1. Trying to fix their emotions instead of validating them. Picture this. Your teen comes home upset because their friend ignored them at lunch. Your instinct? Oh, honey, I'm sure they didn't mean it. Maybe they were just having a bad day. You should text them. Here's the problem. Remember that teenage brain we talked about? When they're emotional, the logical thinking part is basically offline. They don't want solutions. They want to feel heard. When you jump straight to fixing, they hear, "Your feelings aren't valid." Mistake 2. Using logic when they're in emotional mode. This is like trying to have a rational discussion with someone whose fire alarm is going off. Their amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is screaming danger. And you're over here with a PowerPoint presentation about why their feelings are mathematically incorrect. Mistake 3. Making everything a teaching moment. Look, I get it. Your teenager leaves their backpack in the middle of the hallway for the 1,000th time, and you see it as an opportunity to teach responsibility. But here's what your teen hears. Lecture incoming. Activating shutdown mode. Remember, their brains are already hypersensitive to feeling judged. When every conversation becomes a lesson, they stop talking to you altogether. Now let's talk about what actually works. I call it the CALM method, and it's specifically designed for how teenage brains actually function. C. Connect before you correct. Before you address any behavior or problem, you need to connect with your teenager as a human being. This might sound simple, but it's revolutionary. Wrong way. You're home late. We need to talk about respect and responsibility. Right way. Hey, how was your day? You look tired. Rough day at school? The teenage brain is wired to detect whether you see them as a person or a problem. When they feel seen and valued, their defensive walls come down. Acknowledge their feelings first. This is where the magic happens. Before you share your perspective, acknowledge theirs. You don't have to agree with their feelings, but you do need to validate that they have feelings. That sounds really frustrating. I can see you're upset about this. It makes sense that you'd feel that way. Here's the neuroscience. When teenagers feel heard, it literally calms down their amygdala. You're helping their brain move from fight or flight mode to a place where actual communication can happen. Listen more than you speak. I know. You have wisdom to share. You've been through this before. But remember, teenagers are in a developmental stage where they need to feel autonomous and heard. Try the 70-30 rule. 70% of the conversation should be them talking. 30% should be you. Ask questions like, what was that like for you? How did you handle that? What do you think would help? Also try to meet them where they are developmentally. This is crucial. You can't expect adult emotional regulation from a brain that won't be fully developed for another decade. If your 15-year-old is having a meltdown about a social situation that seems trivial to you, remember, their brain is processing this as a genuine threat to their survival. Because evolutionarily speaking, social rejection was a threat to survival. Here's something most parents get wrong. They think any time is a good time for a serious conversation. But teenage brains have rhythms, and timing can make or break your communication. Never try to have important conversations. When they just got home from school, their social batteries are drained. School is emotionally exhausting for teenagers. Give them at least 30 minutes to decompress. When they're already emotionally escalated, remember that fire alarm we talked about? You can't reason with an active alarm system. During their natural sleep hours, fighting their circadian rhythm is fighting biology. You'll lose every time. When you're triggered and emotional, your emotional state is contagious. If you're heated, they'll match your energy and escalate. The best times for important conversations. After they've had some downtime, when you're both calm, and ideally during activities where you're side by side, rather than face to face. Car rides, walks, cooking together. These reduce the intensity that makes teenagers shut down. Words matter, especially with teenagers. Their brains are hyper-tuned to detect judgment, criticism, and dismissal. Here are the phrases that open doors instead of slamming them shut. Instead of, "You're overreacting," say, "That sounds really intense." Overreacting tells them their emotions are wrong. "That sounds intense," acknowledges the reality of their experience. Instead of, "That doesn't make sense," say, "Help me understand your perspective." The first phrase shuts down communication. The second invites it. Instead of, "Calm down," say, "I can see you're really upset." Calm down has never in the history of humanity actually calmed anyone down. Acknowledgement, on the other hand, is like emotional oxygen. Instead of, "When I was your age," say, "What's that experience like for you?" Your teenager's world is different from the one you grew up in. Social media, academic pressure, global anxiety. Their challenges are unique. Show curiosity about their reality. Instead of, "You should just," say, "What do you think might help?" This engages their problem-solving brain instead of triggering their rebellion response. Now, let's be clear. Understanding your teenager doesn't mean becoming their doormat. You still need boundaries. But how you set them makes all the difference. The old way. "Because I said so," or "My house, my rules." This triggers the teenage brain's rebellion response. Remember, they're developmentally programmed to push against authority as they figure out who they are. The new way, collaborative problem solving. "Hey, I need the dishes done, and I know you have a lot going on. What would work for your schedule?" Natural consequences versus punishments. Punishments often feel arbitrary to teenagers. Natural consequences help them learn cause and effect. Punishment. You're grounded because you came home late. Natural consequence. When you come home late, I worry and lose trust. How can we rebuild that trust? The key is involving them in the solution. When teenagers help create the rules, they're more likely to follow them. Their brains crave autonomy, so give them some control within your boundaries. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, things go sideways. Here's your emergency toolkit, the 24-hour rule. When emotions are high, agree to revisit the conversation in 24 hours. This gives both of your brains time to calm down and process. I can see we're both really heated right now. Let's take a break and talk about this tomorrow, when we can both think clearly. Take a parenting time out. If you feel yourself getting triggered, it's okay to say, "I need a few minutes to collect my thoughts." Model the emotional regulation you want to see. Know when to get help. If your teenager is consistently unable to regulate their emotions, if there's talk of self-harm, or if your relationship is completely broken down, don't hesitate to seek professional support. Remember, asking for help isn't failure, it's good parenting. Here's the bottom line. Talking to your moody teenager isn't about finding the magic words that will turn them into a compliant adult. It's about building a relationship that can weather this intense developmental storm. Remember the calm method. Connect before you correct. Acknowledge their feelings. Listen more than you speak, and meet them where they are developmentally. Your teenager's moodiness isn't personal. It's developmental. Their brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Your job isn't to stop the process, but to stay connected through it. Try one of these strategies this week. Just one. Don't try to overhaul your entire communication style overnight. Pick the one that resonates most with you and give it a real shot. Drop a comment and let me know. What's your biggest communication challenge with your teen? What strategy are you going to try first? If this video helped you see your teenager's behavior in a new light, smash that like button and subscribe for more practical parenting strategies based on real science, not outdated advice. And remember, every moody moment is an opportunity to build connection. You've got this.